You can say hello. Hold on. Go. Hello, everyone. This is Crota alongside his daughter, Aria, casting game number 1 in a best of 1 series between Believe and Foggy. Yes, Believe spawning as the pink undead on the bottom left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Foggy has spawned as the blue night elf on the top right. I cannot seem to avoid night elf versus undead matchups, as that seems to be the very, very common games coming in from the European professional scene. Now, we are going to be looking at most likely a Death Knight going up against either a Warden or a Demon Hunter. Both of those heroes, the Death Knight is a hero that, well, how do I explain a Death Knight to my daughter? The Death Knight is a hero that leads the undead army. He walks fast, and he helps the undead. Sometimes he wears speed boots. Anyways, let's go ahead and break things down. It is going to, in fact, be a Death Knight coming in from the undead army of Believe. Meanwhile, we are looking at a Demon Hunter coming in from Foggy. No surprise there. The Demon Hunter very, very good at shutting down the Death Knight, and more importantly, the Lich and possibly the Naga Sea Witch a little bit later. We are going to be looking at some interesting matchups here as things do get underway. The Ghoul simply ignoring that Wisp there, as the Wisp will be making his way over here to the bottom right. Wisp going to every which corner of the map in order to reveal his opponent, as we see a single Wisp hiding off over here, making it very, very difficult for these ghouls to get within range. You can take a look. That Wisp is taking a little bit of damage. The Wisp are just all trying to hide in between the trees, and the Ghoul cannot get to them. Demon Hunter now making its rounds over here, getting some damage onto that Ghoul, as we are now getting in some more Moonwells. This is the Demon Hunter. So the Demon Hunter holding 2 glaives, 1 on each hand, finishing off the remainder of this 3-3-3 creep camp. Ring of Protection +2 was dropped, as we're looking at the Death Knight, who interestingly enough has no... Yep, that's the Death Knight. If it sounds like I'm talking to my daughter, it's because I am. The Death Knight curiously does not have Unholy Aura, so that means that the Death Knight will be able to land Death Coils, perhaps steal a little bit of experience, as the Death Knight's still wandering around here. Now, the Death Knight wants to get some skeletal minions. There was a pig off to the north, but he did not opt to take it down, as we now see the Death Knight going in for that Unholy Aura now. He's going to be doubling back around, trying to figure out where he can go next. Meanwhile, the Demon Hunter Demon Hunter now trying to figure out where his opponent is, as well as the Death Knight does have that Unholy Aura to catch up to those archers. Yes, those archers are female. They are, I wouldn't say they're girls. I don't believe the Night Elves actually draft little girls in their army. Death Knight now looking to back off here, as... Hold on one moment. Please be quiet so that you can cast. Okay. Demon Hunter now holding off into the center here, as we are looking at ghouls taking out the Forest Troll creep camp here. Now the Death Knight is going to be making a run around here in just a moment. The Demon Hunter opting to perhaps get a mana burn. Oh, he could have perhaps mana burn to take down the unit. Opts not to, as the Demon Hunter perhaps got evasion first. You can see that the Death Knight did not pick up any units, as the Forest Troll Trappers trapped down one of those skeletal minions, and now doing a little bit of chasing once more. Death Knight now wandering back around to the other end of the map. This is a 4-2-2 creep camp. I do believe a 4-4-2-2-2 creep camp clear will give, or it should give, level 2, or it will be extremely close. Meanwhile, back off to the north, Ancient of War already in position, tanking that damage, as we now see a Forest Troll Berserker added to the army in order to increase the damage. Back down to the south, Death Knight is off over here. He is in fact at level 2, will have those Death Coils. He did place down a Sentry Ward off to the north here to keep track and perhaps land a Creep Jack on his opponent. Those Sentry Wards have been known to throw games, and when you know exactly where your opponent is, as the Death Knight now wandering around here. We are going to look at perhaps a Tome of Intelligence. Is the Death Knight going to pick it up? Yes, no, wait, nope. Going after the Archer instead. There's the Death Coil, finishes it off, as there is a small victory there. Believe now still wandering around. Foggy, hoping to pick up some more useful items, as he is now sitting at level 2. We should be looking at Halls of the Dead and Tree of Ages momentarily, and we'll see what the secondary heroes are going to be. Meanwhile, Demon Hunter going up against this 5-3-3 creep camp all by himself with, well, I guess not by himself, with a Forest Troll Berserker backing him up. Demon Hunter picking up Gloves of Haste and now backing off. Death Knight, on the other hand, has cleared out the other side and believe should be able to pick up the Tome of Experience if the Ogre Magi's get taken down. Death Knight is going to be at level 3 after this particular creep camp player. There you go. And now with level 2, Death Coil should be able to easily start nuking down some heroes. Demon Hunter on the other side of the map. This is a Panda. Pandarin Brewmaster. And now looking to pull away, Demon Hunter picks up a Scroll of the Beast, not nearly as useful as the Potion of Invulnerability found on the Death Knight, as he now wanders back off to the north. One thing that a lot of professional players do is they make sure to click on their opponent to see what items that their opponent has. Not only will it let you know whether or not you're gonna, not only are you gonna be known, or yes, I know. And not only are you going to know whether or not they have a potion of healing, you can also figure out what particular high-level difficult creep camps they've in fact cleared out. Back down across over here, Death Knight now making his rounds, still trying to add things up. You can see the Slaughterhouse is being added as the Lich is being added as well. That is going to be the Lich is another hero for the Undead army, and looking to perhaps get off a couple of Frost Novas and finish off those units. Death Knight, rather than wanting his mana to be burned, decided to Death Coil a Wisp and perhaps take it down. You can see the Death Knight is still off over here. There is the Sentry Ward keeping track, and wow, Foggy knows exactly what is going on there. Gonna go ahead and finish off that Sentry Ward as the Death Knight just poking his head around, and that's just really smart play there, knowing that your opponent is, hey, you know what, for some reason he is able to know when exactly I'm coming up this ramp, and he also kept track of the fact that there was items on Believe, such as a used Sentry Ward already. Back down across over here, we should be looking at the Undead army starting to slowly build up. Death Knight maybe looking to pick up, picking up a Potion of Invisibility. A little bit of an interesting call right there. Now he heads off to the north. Now we are going to be looking at the Death Knight still wandering around here, not quite sure what he really hopes to do. He cannot get a Death Coil off to finish off the Ogre Magi, and there was a Dust of Appearance or a reveal being used as well. The Death Knight tries to steal the item, was unable to, and now may be forced to pick up a Goblin Zeppelin in order to get out. Believe in a very strange situation. No, the Staff of Teleportation will allow him to get back home without much effort, as he now regroups and rejoins up with this Lich. Lich gonna pick up a potion, or excuse me, a Tome of Experience, easily getting to level 2. Meanwhile, we are at Black Citadel. No Orb of Corruption has been purchased yet, which is a bit of a surprise. Units now looking to back off once more. You can see the Death Knight picking up that Orb of Corruption, gonna hand it off to that Lich, as that -5 armor debuff, so incredibly powerful at allowing those ghouls to just finish off those units rather fast. Meanwhile, Lich now heading back off to the north here, gonna be going after some more of these units. Ogre Mauler, well, -5 armor. Orb of Corruption plus Interfire equals net 0 armor, as the Ogre Magi gonna end up getting finished off there. Lich now sitting at level 3. Death Knight sitting off at level 3 as well. Did he steal an item? No, he did not. Believe just poking around and pretty much being a pain and a thorn in the side of Foggy. But that's all he's really doing. He hasn't really tipped the scales in his favor just quite yet. 48 over 50 compared to 45 over 50, as we are now entering, excuse me?
A player's forces are
yeah, it's almost done, or it's almost done researching. Back down across over here, Naga Sea Witch going to be coming into position. Ensnare is now going down. Demon Hunter does have a rejuvenation, as we see a Staff of Preservation, and now a Scroll of Town Portal being used. Ring of Protection quickly picked up there, as the remainder of this creep camp will be given to the Death Knight, giving level 4 to the Death Knight, and getting that Naga Sea Witch that much closer to 2. You can see down over here, this creep camp Yep, there is a sheep. Back down across over here, you can see the army. Or I thought the Undead army was going to be perhaps try and creep that out, but they decide not to. Also, we do have a mana stone coming in, so the mana stone does increase the natural mana regeneration for the Death Knight, but it is also a consumable. That consumable will allow him to perhaps heal or deal damage. Very, very important, as the Death Knight still wandering around with this, well, illusion here. All right, there is a mana burn. That was a complete waste of 50 mana right there. As we're looking at the Ogre, Ogre Lord is going to get caught in transit over here. Is going to get taken down. Yes, the Death Knight is going to finish it off, picking up, well, who picked up the item? It looks as though the Naga Sea Witch could have potentially picked it up. No, that's, who picked up the item? All right, Demon Hunter does have an Orb of Venom. Meanwhile, Death Knight has Brilliance Aura, allowing him to get even more mana once again. Obsidian statues now with Brilliance Aura. We are going to see a lot of healing and a lot of mana regeneration as the Destroyer's going to try to engage here. There's a mana burn onto the Lich. Lich in that front position. Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire as the Destroyer may get taken down. Birdie is right there, perhaps hoping to finish off some units. You can see one Druid of the Claw quickly taken out as the Destroyer still has a little bit of mana. Breath of Fire going back the other way. Staff of Preservation saving as the Lich is in trouble, but does get the Death Coil heal. Believe now continuing this fight here. There is a lot of Dryads and not nearly enough Crypt Fiends in order to counter them. Death Coil does come in though, as the Destroyer is getting in some additional damage and attacks. Potion of Invulnerability. Is you going to see a Death Coil there? Yes, we do. Death Knight using the Potion of Invulnerability, going to stick around just a little while longer as we do see the death of the Demon Hunter. All right, there goes another unit there. The Death Knight has about another 5 seconds left of invulnerability. Doesn't want to stick around far too long, as the Destroyer now going to be finishing off these remaining units here. All right, Dryads going to be doing a little bit of poking, but the Death Knight in a very, very good spot. He is safe, getting healed and within Death Coil range of that Lich, just in case that Lich takes too much damage. That Death Knight and the positioning on that Death Knight has been top-notch coming in from Believe, remembering that he could actually chase down the Death Knight using the Mana Stone and the Potion of Invulnerability to take down that Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter, a majority of the damage was coming from him. He is going to take a little bit longer to resurrect, and taking out an enemy hero is like pushing the pause button on their progress. Oftentimes, well, Night Elf is going to go ahead and try and engage right here. You see the Dryads now coming back down across as the Crypt Fiends are now coming in as well. Let's take a look at this. Ogre Magi going to get taken down. Breath of Fire, not quite sure if the Panda got that bit of experience, as we're looking at the Dryad still focusing back off over here. A handful of Crypt Fiends are in position. If the Crypt Fiends actually turn around to engage, would actually turn up on the winning end of that fight, especially now that the Death Knight seems to have plenty of mana for those Death Coils. And slowly but surely, Believe is building the proper army to deal with his opponent, as the Naga Sea Witch is now getting closer to level 3. The bear count now needs to go up, but there is already, well, one Destroyer in play. Mana is going to be difficult to come by, but with the Frost Nova's Lich's level 2 Frost Nova, they may be able to slow down those units in their tracks to get picked off by the Destroyer. All right, I believe Naga Sea Witch did in fact get to level 3. Plenty of mana there, ready to go for this upcoming fight. Demon Hunter with that vampiric aura. Panda now with the Staff of Preservation for himself. Both of them will be able to teleport units back home instantaneously to save them. All right, Dryads are wandering around. If they are caught away from the Night Elf army, that would be a tremendous setback. But instead, the Dryads are going to actually be able to regroup with the Demon Hunter here. Interesting, well, positioning there as the Death Knight. No opts to not land a Death Coil off on any of those units. He is still hiding in the back a little bit more as the Death Coil does go down. The Demon Hunter kind of shrugs it off, though, as the Death Knight only dealing, 175 points of damage. Ring of Protection +2 was left behind. Well, the Naga Sea Witch doesn't want to put a ring on it, as you see that, well, Demon Hunter is going to ignore it as well. All right, there's a mana burn. Cold arrows now coming in. Demon Hunter should be able to get in some easy damage onto the Obsidian statue. Death Knight getting extremely close to level 5 as the Lich now has True Shot aura. Alright, Fork Lightning plus Death Coil, but a lot of AoE damage coming in from the Panda, as well as the Death Knight going to be able to Death Coil that Crypt Fiend. Yes, he will. Saves it, as we now see a little bit of a turnaround fight. One Obsidian statue does get picked off in transition or out of position there, as the Destroyers are ready to finish off those bears, and the Dryads are ready to finish off those Destroyers. Crypt Fiends, however, are going to be the major impedance on this attack here. Demon Hunter right there. Panda not even opting to... Did he pick up the... No, he did not pick up the Ring of Protection +2. Wow, leaving just items all along the map when you have plenty of hero slots. That is not highly advised, as the Destroyers should be able to... Nope, unable to finish that off, as you did see that Staff of Preservation once more. Majority of the creep camps now all done. Demon Hunter picks up a potion of lesser invulnerability. Death Knight hoping to get to level 5 and should be able to do so exactly here. We need to see perhaps, well, Mantle of Intelligence. Is the Lich going to at least pick that one up? No, apparently not picking up. Well, nope. Lich now going to go back and pick up that Mantle of Intelligence and will be ready to go. Dryads in position. One Destroyer is currently alongside here. That creep camp has been cleared out. Only the 2 major creep camps are left, and it doesn't look like anyone will be trying to expand. Death Knight now venturing off to the north. Demon Hunter is right there. Death Coil not landing, or no Death Coil to even see. Demon Hunter now looking to pull all the way back, as an Ancient of War shows 70 over 70 supply for the Night Elf. Meanwhile, 58 over 70 for Believe. So the numbers are definitely in Foggy's favor. All right, there goes the Demon Hunter, though, and that, my friends, is going to be a very big setback. Demon Hunter trying to, well, Bear now trying to come back around. Panda could try and Staff of Preservation. The Bears are now getting picked apart, and overcommitment by the Demon Hunter, as we now see the Panda with a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability just tearing things up. Death Knight gets a Death Coil off, does save some more units as well, as the units are still battling it out. Dryads are falling, Bears going after the Crypt Fiends there. Panda gets taken down, and with only an army of Dryads left, even though the Dryads can counter those Destroyers, there are simply too many Crypt Fiends, as the Bear does get a killing shot on a Crypt Fiend just as it's trying to burrow. Alright, in comes more units. Death Knight finishing off a Bear again. Crypt Fiends are still right there. Death Knight could perhaps get another Death Coil down here. There is the GG, as Believe takes game number 1 and the series away from Foggy. Very, very good use of that hero nuking ability, as Believe and the Death Knight took the game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Goodbye.